All right, welcome back to One Bar and Lupagus show. I'm One Bar with Lupagus. Going into the offseason, we're going to talk about the biggest number one need. Lupagus and I both have different ones. I need you to hit that sub button. Let's get the 14,000. Let's go.
You took what I was going to do. That was my number one need, to hit the sub button. You rascal.
We know each other very well.
All right. I'll get this thing started. And there's obviously a lot of needs on this team. You know, Vikings obviously a great for season 14-3, but even with that great record, holes that became very evident, especially at the end of the season. And to me, the biggest one is the guard position. You can pick left or right side, but that guard interior O-line is an absolute mess. You can see Sam Darnold scared out of his britches the game against the Lions, game against the Rams, 9 sacks. I know a lot of those were on Sam holding the ball, but it's your O-line that creates that kind of fear, creates that ticking clock not to be working in your head.
And to be fair, this has been a need for since Steve Hutchinson left. We just refuse to address it. It's not even just this year. It's the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. It's poopy.
And it's not just in pass protection. It's the run game. Like, where's the push? Where are we taking over games late? We can just continue to run the ball, get 5-6 yards a pop, run that clock, win ball games because your O-line is dominating the trenches. It doesn't happen with this team. It's time to change it. It's time to fix it. And it was so glaring, the Lions game and the playoff game on Monday.
Yeah, spend some money. Do an early draft pick. And I know you got a couple of solves here for the guard position, but man, and Kevin O'Connell said the right. Like he was saying, look, we got to address the offensive line. Like he's like, oh shit, they do stink. So yeah, what do you got?
My solves, obviously the big sexy one is Trey Smith, but I didn't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to back up the try. I would love to do it. I don't know if the Vikings will do it. So I actually found 2 a little less expensive options, one for each side. I'm going to go left guard, Aaron Banks. How about Aaron Banks? 27 years old, former second-round pick. He had the best run block grade in 2024. I don't know how he is pass protecting. That's fine. I love to have a guy who's just the best at one thing. Run behind Aaron Banks over and over again because he is a road grader, and that's something we need. Physical player who can dominate the run game.
You don't care about J.J. McCarthy's health. You don't care.
He can't be any worse than Blake Brown.
Ed Ingram was fairly good in the run as a run, and he was still an absolute beast. Aaron Banks was he was a Notre Dame dude. I loved him coming to the draft. He's only 26?
27.
27? Wow, it seems like he came out forever ago. All right.
Yeah, and on the right side, a guy we actually talked about, I think, or maybe we were going to talk about until we realized he was hurt, but Will Fries, former Indianapolis Colts, coming off a tibia fracture. Before breaking his leg in 5 games, he had an 84.9 run blocking grade and then a 74.9 pass blocking grade. 26 years old. Maybe you get this guy on a prove-it deal. His leg was broken last year. Casey Lowe's finding deals. Sounds to me like an upgrade. Will Fries, and then obviously you draft the guard later.
Yeah, Fries I loved. He was going to be a potential trade target, and we did the video, and we realized he just broke his leg that week, and we're like, shit. We can't do that video. We look like idiots. I love Will Fries. He's damn good. He's a free agent.
Yeah, there's actually some. I actually like the guard class. There's a lot of guys I could have chose from.
Oh, French fries. Yeah, I would like that. I mean, that's going kind of the 2 middle of the road, but still an improvement. Draft a guy. I like it. I want them to pay Trey Smith whatever it takes. I don't care if if he's the highest paid guard of all time. Whatever. I want it. It needs to happen.
Do it.
But yeah, so. I did go a different position. I fully agree that guard is the number one need. I'm not going to argue that, but it would be boring if I just listed off 2 guards. So I'm going to go to the other side. Trenches, defensive tackle. How many sacks do you think our defensive line got this year?
I'm going to say 3.
You're pretty close. It was 4, and that's not counting Hottie. So Phillips had 2, Redmond had 1, Bullard had 1.
Okay.
And you know what? We had other guys picking up the slack. Van Ginkel, Grenard. We were no lack of sacks, but we should get something from there. Our run game was beautiful. Tillery, Bullard, Phillips, very underrated. Can stuff the run, but we need that big old sexy body up there. And obviously, there's 2 options. I'm just going. So if you go draft, it all depends. Do they spend the big money on the guard, or do they spend the big money on the defensive lineman? The opposite of that, they look at first round. So if they're going to go draft Derek Harmon from Oregon, everybody loves him. Kenneth Grant is my man, though. Kenneth freaking Grant. I did a mock draft last night. He was absolutely my pick. Loved him. So Harmon, and then you got the Walkers. And then you got Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. So there's a lot of options at defensive tackle, guys that will go from that 20 to like that 40 range if you want to trade back, which would be beautiful. So draft-wise, there's guys there.
Yep.
There's no lack of guys there. Free agency-wise, which the Vikings have done very well at defensive tackle, Jerry Ball, Tom Johnson, Tomlinson, Linval Joseph, Pat Williams. We've been very good at getting defensive linemen. Harrison Phillips. Didn't even mention him. That was rude. And there's some boys out there. Where are they? Milton Williams.
Yes.
Just getting so much. Milton Williams. Sounds like a dude on his porch eating Werther's, and he's 95 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
But he's only 26.
Whittling a stick, too.
He was third rounder. I don't even remember Milton Williams in the draft. Obviously, he's been tearing it up with the Eagles. Very good pass rusher. Not very good against the run. That's his big thing. But that's fine. We got some guys who can stop the run. Milton Williams will probably be one of the sexy, underrated ones who will still get paid. And then you got the DJ Jones of Denver. Still 30 years old, but you could sign him to a 2-year contract. Was it BJ Hill from the Bengals? There's some damn good defensive linemen out there, too. It's just a matter of which route they want to take. If they want to get a guy that's older and go for like the 2-year range, or you want to spend some money and get like a Milton Williams and then potentially a draft pick. So a lot of options, just like guard, that they can go solve it, but they're going to have to spend some cheddar or an early draft pick.
Yeah, and like where the Vikings D-line is right now, like it's serviceable, it's okay, but to have that guy up front who can just make those plays, like a Dexter Lawrence, like a Dingus Jones, somebody who can get back there, create disruption, ruckus, destruction, all on their own without having to call a blitz, whatever. We haven't had that and do it consistently. Like a guy where they got double team, worry about him, game plan for that guy. When was the last time we had that guy? It's hard to even remember. I want that, whether it's through the draft, free agency, both. I don't care. It's a huge need. It's right behind guard for me.
Well, yeah, and a guy like Kenneth Grant or Harmon, these guys who take on these double teams, maybe they don't light up the stat sheet. Clearing up ways. We got guys. We got Dallas Turner. We got Grenard, Ginkle. Like, we just need some big old beef up there. And you pair him up with Phillips, and then whether Jalen Redmond is going to be going for a starting job, like bring in some competition, whether that's Bullard or Tillery coming back. But this defensive line won't take much to make damn good.
No. God, could you imagine having a playmaker up there?
Kenneth Grant.
Oh,
the dude is a freak.
Grant.
He's a beast, and he hasn't even really been molded. You watch Mason Graham, you see Kenneth Grant out there. You're watching him instead.
Hell yeah. No, I'm a big Kenny Grant fan. I'm glad you mentioned him. So those are our number one needs for 2025. Let us know in the comments. Do you have a different one? Do you like who we mentioned? Maybe you hate who we mentioned. Maybe you have somebody else.
Maybe you hate us.
Maybe you do, but if you still hate us, still hit the subscribe button. We appreciate that very much. And remember this. Drinking a cup of coffee before working out can help burn fat cells more quickly.
It's true.